Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stevie Breech coming to you. Just wanted to make a quick video. Basically, today on Twitter, my buddy freaking A88, he broke the news of a conversation we had about the ROH sale. I think he was mainly just trying to get me all fired up because I have a different sort of side to the whole ROH sale that I think a lot of other people didn't have yesterday when it broke. A lot of people were really excited that they thought ROH, was going to become more of a mainstream um, wrestling company just by them being bought by this Sinclair company. They thought that there was going to be this money that's the money that's freed up to go out and sign, past and more present talent to the roster. They might have a little bit more money for, free agents. They might be able to get people back from TNA and other places that they might be. But basically, all in all, I was looking at this as just from the TV side. I think this company needs a TV deal before they can, move forward and get bigger. DVD sales is weird, but honestly, as a wrestling fan trying to get into a new company, it is sort of like it is weird for me to have to buy a DVD in order to be the only way that I can follow up with what's going on in the shows, and it confuses me a little bit why it takes so long for a DVD to come out after a show. It's like because they make you want to buy the pay-per-views, but if I'm a fan who didn't get to see the last show, I don't really know what's going on, and I don't want to jump ahead. I want to keep the storyline progressing with what's going on. I always liked the HG net shows that helped me jump into the product. I caught it out of the blue one week when I was trying to find out what channel Raw was on, and I came across a Colt Cabana match with Generico and Kevin Steen, and it blew my mind. That was the first time I saw ROH, and I thought it was some of the best wrestling I'd seen in a long time. When I when I was coming into it and I was watching these HD net shows, it helped me learn who the characters were, and then as I got more into it, I fell in love with ROH because it was more like 80s style wrestling to me. 80s style wrestling, by that I mean like back in the old school WBF, like when everybody on the whole roster, the reason why they called everybody superstars is nobody was bigger or smaller. The way they looked at it is, if you really looked at it and you really broke it down, you could find out who your main eventers were and who your mid carders were. But as a as a fan at the time, the way they booked it, it made it seem like everybody on the roster, it didn't matter if you were the Red Rooster, if you were the Coco Beware, if you were, anybody, anybody who's anybody. The way they put them over with the announcing, the way they put them over with their wrestling skills, the mic time, just, wrestling. They made it seem like anybody could beat the champ at any time. They booked Hogan against lesser opponents all the time that they made look like larger than life, huge stars. And that's what I loved about WWF when I was growing up, and that's what I love about ROH now. It seems like everybody on the roster is equal and even talent, and that anybody, could really step up and win the title. Like being not that big of a fan when a wrestler like Eddie Edwards stepped up and he won the title, that really surprised me. I thought that was like the biggest news ever. That I never thought that was really going to happen. But back to what I was talking about. Most of this video is going to be about the TV deal. The Sinclair deal. Most people were going crazy thinking that they're going to be able to go mainstream because they're going to be available in most markets. Yes, because the HDNet deal went under, and they didn't have a TV contract anymore. Any contract is better than no contract. I get that. So I know this is the step back into TV. And that's it. But people were acting like the actual NBC or CBS, bought this company. The company that bought them, Sinclair, they own about 50 or so different just TV stations. Most of them are in the South, the southeast part of the United States, and that they own these affiliates. They're CW, they're Fox, they're this, that, and the other, and those stations will be able to show the show their TV show, and the other ones they'll have to try to market out there as syndication. But when you look on the map, these 50 something TV stations are only located in about 20 states. If it wasn't for one station that was in Nevada, they wouldn't be anywhere on the West Coast. I mean, nowhere in California, in Washington, in Oregon, nothing basically on the Pacific side. And they need to get it out there. And I just don't think that syndication wrestling sells. I mean, that you haven't really seen that many, TV shows that go out there, or you don't see really many wrestling shows that are out there, trying to get picked up by syndication. Like there was a big buzz about the Wrestlelicious by Jimmy Hart with all the chick wrestling. I actually thought that was really going to catch on. I thought they would have a market if they put it on late night and they sort of market it to horny guys that were not able to go out to the strip club that night or something like that. And I thought that would work, but nobody really picked up on it. It ran for a little while, and I don't even know if they do shows anymore or not. But syndication wrestling hasn't really worked since the WBF was out there back in the day. Vince McMahon is the guy that really sort of mastered this and put it together. He basically made you think that you're gonna be able to see the biggest superstars that are out there. And even though the shows they were selling were like Superstars and Challenge, which were like jobber shows, they at least made you know that you were gonna get like Hulk Hogan highlights and Hulk Hogan interviews, and you were gonna be able to see the storyline progressions, and that's what wrestling sold back then. But I just don't think that this is a good deal for ROH because HDNet, a lot of people bitched and complained that they were, not able to get HDNet, but I think that HDNet was at least, in most of the United States. It was only a small market of people that didn't get that channel, and that these other channels, it seems like they're leaving more people out in the dark. The one thing that people are happy about is that the show is going to be streamed on the internet on the website, Ring of Honor Wrestling, which is going to be cool. I mean, I'll make an effort to make sure that I go there and watch it, but I can't guarantee that I'm able to do it every time. But the one thing when I said that I was getting into ROH was that I said I was watching that show, and a majority of people, that were ROH fans that consider themselves, good fans, were like, nobody watches that. I mean, it's not, it's not directed towards the ROH fans. It's mostly just trying to get wrestling fans and to watch wrestling. It's not really a storyline progressor or anything like that. But I loved it. So I don't understand how people are all excited for ROH to get a TV deal when most of the people didn't really watch it anyways. I mean, if they were able to get gather in more ratings on the HDNet, they probably would have got picked up. They probably would have a TV deal soon. Basically, when this video, if you haven't turned it off yet, basically when I came out and I said that I was seeing ROH and I wanted to become a fan, I was really surprised on how ROH fans really took you in and were like, hey, yeah, you want to watch this? Here, check this out, check this out. They're making recommendations, see this, see that. Back in the day, ECW fans were very protective of ECW. I'm talking about the real ECW. Back in the day, I remember the first ECW show I ever went to was basically when I barely didn't know anything about the product. You had to stay up until like I think it was 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday nights, Saturday mornings in order to see the ECW 1 hour block, and that stuff was crazy. It blew your mind, but it honestly it's just hard to see it. So I knew about it, but I didn't know a whole bunch about it, and the only reason why I knew they were in my town is because I went to the Quick Trip to buy some gas. So when I went to pay for it, they had a little flyer that said Live Wrestling ECW. And it said Rob Van Dam and Taz on it, and I said I got to go to that, and then that's why I went. But because I'd never been to an ECW show, I didn't have an ECW merch or nothing like that. So I wore a Stone Cold shirt, and I remember I got heckled the whole time until I finally went and bought an ECW shirt, and I guess that made me a bigger fan somehow. But they let off me at least. But I was really surprised, when I went to Mania and I met a whole bunch of people, especially the YouTubers that are exclusive ROH fans. They were really nice, and so I hope I don't get a whole bunch of hate on that. But I just wanted to explain my thoughts that yeah told the world that I don't think the ROH deal is the greatest deal that they could get, and no TV sucks, but I don't think this deal is that great. It's good to be on TV, but I don't know. I hope that they can be on more TV than this because I just don't think people will watch the internet stream.